Hello everybody and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays. Almost messed up that entry, but I'm not redoing this video, so there you go. Alright, so let's talk about it is global time, and let me tell you, I've been looking forward to this week because I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite characters in all of WOTV history, but okay, WOTV history is not that long. Don't get caught up on it. It doesn't matter. Anyway, before we get started, I do want to give a shout out on my video to a artist in the community and a user that I talked about recently in one of my videos to do with my reviews and everything like that. And yeah, he did this really cool thing on Reddit that I never left a comment on Reddit about. So apologies. I know that other creators left their comments and stuff, so yeah, I'm just gonna give you a shout out on my video. So anyway, this is really cool, man. That's really cool that you did a ton of the creators in the WOTV community, like Palladia, Clayek, AOJ, which is Cabbage, right? I'm gonna say that, Jay, Diggs, and wow, me. Although I'm gonna say I don't think I look anywhere near that good, so but thank you very much for doing that. That's pretty cool that you did that, man. Yeah, just wanted to give a shout out. Cool stuff like that in the community, and I know I'm a little behind on it, but now let's get into the actual global news. Enough self-indulgence, and I said that completely wrong. Anyway, Ildyra is the brand new character that will be coming this week to the global side, and Ildyra is the first of the Arithmetician, a brand new job that I am absolutely pumped about because, yeah, like I said, this is one of the characters that I've had the most experience with. I vigorously pulled, and no, that is not a euphemism, to get this character. As a matter of fact, I had many failed multis before I finally got her near the end and had to rush down one of her weapon, and long story short, eventually I got her maxed, and here I am now with a fully built Ildyra. And let me tell you something, this character is unbelievable. So let me get right into talking about her. Primary job is Arithmetician, sub-job is Spellblade and Black Mage. Ildyra's theorem raises CT of self and allies within range and raises effect if the unit level is a multiple of 3. Height 3 holy, deals light damage M to target within range, increase potency against targets whose height is a multiple of 3. And a sub-ability, height 3, change to height 2. We'll talk about that. She will, of course, feature the hard quest, which it should be pretty self-explanatory. Bonus JP for a brand new unit, so you can raise her abilities much faster. And the Vizier consumption campaign bonuses that you should all come to expect by now. Now, let me just say that right off the bat, Ildyra is one of the best farmers in the game and one of the best damage units in the game. I think that, first of all, a couple of really big strong strengths of her. First of all, she can get a really nice high magic stat, capable of dealing massive damage AoE. I've seen some Ildyras do upwards of about 5,000, 6,000 points of damage off some of their spells, and it should also be said that there is no casting time on Arithmetician abilities, and that is unbelievably valuable. If you look at something like, let's say, her biggest farm competition, which is Medina has this thing where, you know, her most valuable thing for auto farm is the fact that she can just nuke everything with her limit burst. But that is essentially one and done, whereas Ildyra's multicast abilities are, well, can be casted quite a few times. Taking a look at it, providing that I can also find here, it isn't. That's the healing spell. We'll get into that in a second. Oh my goodness, there it is. So this spell can be cast 3 times. It also has an AP cost of 26. For the fact that it's basically an instant cast, can massively damage multiple enemies, this is just really ridiculously powerful. It is an incredibly strong AoE ability that can catch multiple enemies in it. And not only that, like I was showing just slightly earlier, she does have a healing version of this. Now, it's not as powerful as Ayaka's healing, but it is still can be used multiple times and is wide enough area and far enough range with that it can just be generally strong almost no matter what. Now, one other key important point that should be noted, and unless this is changed on global, then it's not the case. But anyway, Ildyra's Holy Spell, while it can be multiple cast and it does actually hit in an AoE pattern, it is not like regular Holy. It does not hit 100% guaranteed. It is also based on height, which means that if the enemy is higher than Ildyra is, guess what? She will get an advantage damage bonus against that. When it comes to Ildyra, it really is planning out where you are using her abilities, because let me tell you something right now. You're always running Arithmetician as the main job, obviously, but that's what you want. It is the strongest part of her kit. You don't necessarily always want to be running her Limit Burst, because while her Limit Burst is generally good, she has a bad habit of just casting it. Her AI just really likes to cast it. So you kind of want to turn that off in favor of her not using it and her just focusing on her abilities. From my own personal experience with Ildyra, I know for a fact that once I've turned off her Limit Burst, her AI seems to pick up the pace quite a bit for just doing the correct things, AoEing enemies, but quickly shifting to healing when there is a threat and your units are almost dead. So Ildyra is just plenty good and plenty smart in terms of her AoE and everything. Not only that, but she has a fair amount of AoE spells, damaging spells in her main kit that you really don't have to worry about her sub-job at all. Her sub-job does feature an interesting potential cast of Disable against the enemies, but I've never found it to be particularly good. With that being said, for people who are curious about sub-jobs, I have particularly never run Black Mage because her Black Mage spells are generally underwhelming. That's not to say that it's bad or that you couldn't run it, but overall she's missing key abilities such as Flare, and it really doesn't do her any favor. As a matter of fact, I have basically run her since the beginning of getting her as an Aqua Blade, or as a Spell Blade, because the damage output is just particularly strong here. It does just mean that her kit is, a little bit more up close and personal, that she doesn't have to strictly rely on her AoEs, and it also gives, a little bit of buff capability, but not a ton. Overall, Ildyra is just very, very strong kit, and I recommend running her as a primary spell or arithmetician with a sub-job of Spellblade. Now, with that being said, the most unique feature about her is her special subclass support skills. These are pretty unique to the character. Now, she does have a kind of resistance / fire. She has basically fire resistance on one of her key support abilities, which is really, really nice. And she has the magic up of Black Mage, which is good for dishing out damage, and also damn, I'm losing my train of thought in these videos. There's just so much to say. It does allow her to effectively farm against enemies quite nicely, so I do like that. But the two ones that are going to be the most important to get a mastery of are her change abilities for certain things. First of all, level 3 to level 2 for height. This is kind of really good to run since her healing and holy abilities basically rely on the advantage of height. If the enemy is of a higher height, or the healer is of who you are healing is of higher height, the spell is more effective, which is good. And honestly, for a factor of 2, a lot of the time, I feel like a lot of maps aren't going to take advantage of the 3 difference, but it is a strength of the arithmetician that height is not so much of an issue. And when it comes to level 4 versus level 3, again, you really have to look at what level the enemies are. If the enemies are level 80, obviously you want your abilities to be that level 4 multiplier. But if you are going into arena and PvP, guess what? Level 3 is much more valuable, so you are going to be wanting to run this. Again, really depends what you are going to be, what mode you are going to be in, and what type of enemy you are going to be against. But as you can tell, with the 119,000 job points that I have with a ton of maxed out stuff in her kit, you can tell that I have used Ildyra a ton. Yes, and just for clarification, I was looking that up off screen, where basically magic resistance of 12% and a fire resistance of 12%. A little bit stronger, but if I'm to be totally honest why that is in her kit, it is specifically in there because of the Ifrit raid, which you will be facing the following week. So, with that being said, and having taken a good long look at Ildyra, let's just go directly into a farm stage to kind of show it off. I'll also take a quick look at the resistances that we do have, if I can find the right button. So you can see primary strong against magic, weak against piercing, strike, and gun. This is means that effectively Frederica, and on the JP side, the new Thunder Archer Niv, is a big threat to this character. Shooting and distance is a problem, but if you can have enough hate generation or protect this character for long enough, I've found that it's not generally a problem, and I think her output is particularly strong. But as you can see, good amount of fire resistance is possible, and you could potentially shore up some of these weaknesses, to say the least. So, while we're talking about some of the other stuff to be coming to Global this week, I'm just going to put on Auto Farm so you can take a peek at how she functions. And I'm also going to come back on screen, so that's always nice. So taking a look at Ildyra, the first week of Ildyra's event will be a weapon farm, and the second week will be the Ifrit raid. The Ifrit raid is particularly nasty mainly because Ifrit deals a lot of damage AoE. So when going with multiplayer, if people were just kind of, rushing in and getting pwned by Ifrit, from my experience, I do have very vivid memories, the other V word, of going in with a specific team, and the whole team would rush together because nobody could figure it out, and then Ifrit would just AoE everyone, and well, I guess we try next time. But yeah, the Ifrit raid, Severo, as well as Tyrell, potentially, and Miranda are all strong candidates to also be useful against Ifrit. You don't necessarily need to pull for Ildyra, but I would say that, and it's Ildyra. Doesn't matter. I'm calling her by the JP version. Suck it, people who complain about it. Anyway, Ildyra is by far one of the strongest farming characters in the entire game, and no slouch when it comes to challenge content either. She is particularly good in a lot of stuff because of her instant heals, because of access to multiple strong heals. Also, not only that, but she also, as you can see, can just farm with the best of them. She can catch tons of enemies in her attack. She can have different types of damage. She has holy as well as water abilities, and yes, there are some enemies that do particularly well against that, but not a ton. What I do also have to say is about the equipment. So this week you're going to see 2 new weapons come. First of all, the Platinum Mace and the Coral Sword. Now obviously the Coral Sword is a big one for anyone with Orlando. It should be just basically an instant snap. Yes, you do need to farm this kind of thing. Like, it is the prime weapon for Orlando, so you should be farming it, period. Now, to talk about the Platinum Mace, though, the Platinum Mace is the one that I am going to say is the one that everyone should not sleep on, for For the particular fact that the Platinum Mace has still not come back to the JP side, we have had zero chance to farm it again, and the only other Mace to come along was just last week, basically, on the JP side. The Healing Mace with Summer Ketone, which was weaker in terms of stats than the Platinum Mace. So that is why I'm just going to say, regardless of whether you are going to get Ildyra now or later, which is possible that you could get her because she is not limited outside of this one banner. She is not a limited time character. You should farm the Platinum Mace, and you should farm it to a +4, if not just a +5. For anybody going for Ildyra, 100% recommend that you just get the +5. The Platinum Mace, as I have said, does not come back. So yes, I think I've talked basically about everything, but Ildyra overall is a incredibly high recommendation, if not now, for later for building her. She has been a godsend for me in a ton of different content. PvP, I have used her in PvP, I have used her in challenge content, I have used her in farm content. She has made my life so much easier, so much better. I think that she is absolutely fantastic, and she is one of the characters I'm going to give a high recommendation to, because after this should be Bling Stern for the half anniversary, and Bling Stern is a double cost character. Again, very, very strong. And I have seen that in action on the JP side. But from my experience, I just love Ildyra so much, so that is who I would give my recommendation to higher, even with the nonsense of the point event giving a giant bonus to people with Bling Stern. But yeah. You can go back and check some other videos about the point event on the half anniversary from my recordings on the JP side. And regardless, tell me below in the comments, are you going for just the best girl? And if you are not going for her, if you're not going for Ildyra, then tell me why you're absolutely nuts. But anyway, that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and take care. See you next time. Ildyra is the best. Ildyra is the best.